Hello, my name is Brendan Fitzsimmons and this is my Dragon's Den pitch for my fitness tests. So this is just the contents of what my presentation is based upon. I'll give you a couple of seconds to have a look. So this is just a brief bit of information about me who did the fitness test. So my name is Brendan Fitzsimmons, I'm age 18, my sporting position is football, right wing or left wing. My key attributions I would say are speed, which I use to dribble past defenders. My sporting background is that I have played football from a young age and have also taken part in running competitions while at high school. I feel like the running competitions helped me with my football because it helped me maintain my stamina, which is obviously very important for football. My goals for improvement are I would like to improve my stamina and fitness in general, because since I stopped playing football and running a couple of years ago, I have lost a bit of it. So the 6 fitness tests that I've chosen are the beep test, the sit and reach test, the vertical jump test, the sprint test over 40 metres, the 505 agility test, and the Loughborough intermittent shuttle test. So test 1 is the bleep test. The fitness component test is cardiovascular endurance. A brief summary of this is that it involves repeatedly running 20 metres between 2 marked lines while keeping pace with an increasing amount of beeps. The equipment needed is an audio player, bleep test audio, 20-metre measuring tape, and marker cones. The reason I included this was because it would help test my stamina, whilst also making it quite a fun challenge to see how far I can push myself. The second test that I've chosen is the sit and reach test. The fitness component tested here is flexibility. A brief summary of this is that it measures the extensibility of the lower back and hamstring muscles. The equipment I would need for this is a sit and reach box or a step, a ruler, a partner to help just carry out the test with me. And I include this because it would help me assess the flexibility of my hamstrings, which is crucial because in football you need to have strong hamstrings because these are one of the most common injuries, so you have to be trained a lot. The third test that I've chosen is the vertical jump test. The fitness component tested here is lower body power. A brief summary of this is that it is a way to measure an individual's lower body power, specifically their ability to jump vertically, such as heading the ball. Equipment needed is a wall, a measuring tape, and a piece of chalk. I like this one because it is just very simple to carry out and doesn't take much time at all, so it can be done anywhere really. And I've included this to assess lower body power, such as like when I said heading the ball or holding up the ball. Like in football when you're waiting for a teammate to get to you, you're waiting to pass the ball for them to get into a better position. The fourth test that I've chosen is the sprint over 40 metres test. The fitness component tested here is speed and acceleration. A brief summary of this is that it's a skill-related fitness component that assesses an individual's ability to move quickly and efficiently over a short distance. This is important because equipment needed for this is a flat, clear surface, starting blocks, such as like cones, a stopwatch, an assistant, and a measuring tape. I included this one because I would do it to improve my speed over a short distance, which is important for a winger because you do a lot of short bursts of speed, so it's relentless, you're sprinting as a winger. The fifth test that I've chosen is the 505 agility test, and this is a fitness component of agility. The protocol summary is that the 505 agility test is a common method for assessing a change of direction, specifically a 180-degree turn. The equipment that I would need is a flat, non-slip running surface, cone markers, a stopwatch and a measuring tape. I included this because I would do it to see how quickly I can change direction. This is important for things like dribbling or running back to get the ball when your team loses it. The sixth test that I've chosen is the Loughborough Intermittent Shuttle Test. The fitness component tested here is anaerobic capacity. The protocol summary here is that it's a running test that includes jogging, running and sprinting. It's designed to stimulate the psychological demands of football games. Equipment that you would need for this one is a clear, flat area, at least 30 meters long, cones, a tape measure, and a heart rate monitor. And I include this one because it helps the body prepare for the demands of football games. It's just a very well-rounded drill. It's got everything that a winger would do during a match. So the way my tests were conducted safely was that they were conducted by making sure the areas were clear and away from any possible health risks. This could be like any cones that are meant to be there, which could be slipped on, or making sure there's not people in the way who could get hurt. This is obviously the most important thing to think about when doing a fitness test, because it can lead to injuries as well if the surface is slippy. So my recordings of each result is test 1, which was the beep test, and I got 8 laps. Test 2, which was a sit and reach test, and I managed 13.9 centimeters. Test 3, which was the vertical jump, and I managed to do 17 inches. Test 4, which was the sprint over 40 meters test, which I managed 6 seconds. Test 5, which was the 505 agility test, and I managed 2.8 seconds. And test 6, which was the Loughborough Intermittent Shuttle test, I managed 15 meters, and I was 2.4 seconds for the sprint, and for the run I managed 7 minutes. So modifications I would make is that I would make sure that it's in a safe environment, because when I did it at college there were hazards like other people in the areas, and it was a wet surface because it had been raining the night before, so it could have been carried out safely, but those things couldn't be helped. So when I compared my results to normative data, my results matched the average men in my age group, which was good, because it shows that I carried it out correctly. Some strengths and concerns. So my strengths of my drill is that they're all relevant to football, whether that's through cardiovascular endurance or agility. I think that's really important because it'd make it more desirable to anyone looking to take part in my drills that wasn't me. However, a concern could be that the results might not always be accurate due to things like the performance well-being. What I mean by this is that, say they had a game before, they might be mentally tired or even physically. So for the best possible results, it'd have to be when they're 100% physically and mentally. So when I compared my results to top-level athletes, obviously my results are a long way off a top-level athlete for a number of reasons, such as not as much training, which they do every day, and not as good equipment, which they'll have state-of-the-art everything. So why was each test suitable for my athlete? Like I said, all my tests are targeted towards football in pretty much every aspect that you'd need. I believe that, so were they practical in your testing setting? So the environment could change it, the footwear or the fitness levels like I mentioned. There's lots of different factors, because no test will be the same. There'll always be something going on to change it. And finally, all of the drills that I have chosen are all appropriate and accessible for a football to do due to a low cost and not too much equipment. So what I mean by this is like, these could be done by National League North level players or all the way up to Premier League, because they're all good tests but require little equipment and cost. So the steps that were taken to ensure reliable and valid results were that I made sure that I took a break in between drills so that I was at my maximum energy so that my results would be as good as possible. This is important, so obviously, so the good, but also to avoid injuries from me doing too much exercise at once. And I also made sure that they were valid by making sure that someone else did the stopwatch for me, so when I started it was done exact, when I ended it was done exact. So I believe that the protocol was followed closely. I made sure that I followed each instruction for the drills carefully to make sure my results were as accurate as possible. And every tester that was used was me. I felt like this was important because then the results wouldn't be completely accurate, because it would be different levels of ability taken part if it wasn't just me. So something that went well in testing is that all my results were accurate and a match of a healthy male my age, which shows that I did the test right if they were within the average. So something that could be improved next time was that I felt like in the build up to the test I should be more well rested. I say it's because the day before I took part in five-a-side football and I felt like I was suffering from a bit of fatigue, so I feel like on a different day my results would have been a bit better. So with the test I did ethical, practical and suitable. My tests were ethical as I made sure that if someone else was to take part in them, then their well-being would be taken care of on a priority. I'd make sure that they're all comfortable taking part in all activities. My tests are all... I believe that making sure that the well-being for ethical, just going back to that, is important, because if someone doesn't want to take part in it, then the results just won't be as good and it'll affect the future results. So it's best, if they don't want to do it, it's best to listen to them, because the well-being for the thing is the priority. Don't want them to get injured or anything. So my tests are all practical because they all require little amounts of equipment and none of them are too time consuming. And I'm very happy with my tests for that reason, because they can just be done anywhere, really. And my tests are all suitable for football because they all relate to different aspects of football, such as agility or cardiovascular endurance. So how could the testing be improved for future use? It could be done with better and more reliable equipment. I think it's because it will be more reliable to be present to top level athletes if I do it with the standard of equipment. And some changes I would make is I would take longer breaks so that my full fitness was reached before each new test. And this is just so that the tests are done when someone's on 100% instead of 80%. So my fitness profile that I've chosen is Kylian Mbappe. He's a footballer who plays for France and Real Madrid. He's age 26, football obviously, and he plays as a winger and striker for Real Madrid. So just a bit of background on him, he's literally won lots of things, like he's won the World Cup, won La Liga, wait, no he's not, Ligue 1, sorry, and lots of golden boots. So scores could affect an athlete's performance, because if they get good results, then obviously they'll be more confident in themselves, because if they get good results they'll believe in themselves more, and that might help in a match. But however, this could be negative as well, because if they get bad results then they could lose confidence. So some areas that stood out in testing was that I felt that if the weather was hot, then it would be very hard to take part in my fitness test. So some changes that I could make is that to suggest they do it in a sports hall when it's warm weather, because sports halls are a lot cooler, which doing it in a cool environment will avoid things like fainting and stuff. So I feel like I need to work on my sprinting because it takes me a few seconds to get back up to full speed due to a lack of sprinting over the last couple of years. So why do I believe in my athlete's potential that I chose for the fitness profile? I believe in Mbappe's potential because he has shown time and time again over the last 8 years that he's one of the best players in the world whilst he played for PSG and Real Madrid. He also scored a hat-trick in the Qatar World Cup final in 2022 against France. This just shows his mentality and fitness levels, that they're very good to have the mentality to do that in a high-pressure situation. So how does a profile relate to sport-specific success? I think it's because he has won lots of trophies, including the World Cup, Liga, the La Liga and Liga Golden Boot, the UEFA Super Cup, and just so many more. So an area of improvement I would target for Mbappe is that he needs to work on his body power, because based on clips that I've watched to analyse his fitness strengths, he's not very good at holding up the ball, which is crucial for a striker to help play running behind. And finally, I believe that all my tests are appropriate for a footballer, as they are all relevant for the training and testing skills that a footballer would need. They're also accessible, so can be done in most environments. So my feedback was helpful and constructive, yes. And I would definitely use these methods again because I felt like I got really good results, and it helped me in the future to know what areas that I could improve on, such as I wasn't happy with my sprinting, so that could definitely be improved. So thanks for listening to my presentation, and